Jason Mueller here, co-founder of Moon Lvnding, back again for another episode of the Launchpad. Today, I'm super excited to introduce my good friend, Ian Hiscock, from V2, Nova Lotus, Management, Schuster, marketing, all-around industry mindset. So many good things going to come from this guy today. Ian, how are we doing?
Yes, I'm doing good, man. Looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. I know I got to jump on one of your podcasts sometimes back, so it's always good to watch these things come full circle and just keep progressing, these friendships and connections through our world.
Yeah, man, it's been cool. Actually, I've seen a lot more like industry people kind of start working on like podcast projects over the last few months. It's a good way to redirect our time right now with
Well, we sure as hell have a lot of it right now compared to running around like a chicken with our heads cut off during festival season.
Right. It's getting a little better though. Like I'm more busy now than I was in like March and April.
Same.
And May,
yeah. You just got to rediscover and find that new workflow. And I know for myself, at least working in the music, I've connected with more people in our industry this year than any years past.
Yeah.
Because people have more time and we're all online, and it's just a lot easier to kind of access different people.
Yeah, it really is. And it's like, people who might be too busy normally to like hit you back or like come in.
Yeah, they're sitting at home with all the time in the world now.
Yeah, and everyone's like kind of everyone's like wants that connection, that industry connections. So I feel like people are just more like accessible right now, which is cool.
Yeah. Well, talk to us a little bit about your main focus. What's your main skill set that you really built that helped you break into working around music full time?
So yeah, it's kind of changed a few times over the years. Right now, I would say it's completely like marketing, social media, advertising, PR. Just like all the things of digital marketing. Initially, and I think a lot of people have this same experience, but initially, what kind of drew me to it was like I was a DJ, wanted to play shows. I think you as well, and tons of people who have actually turned more to the business side of the industry started out just playing shows. So I
was the opposite. I actually started off in the business side, and then I was around DJing all the time. I'm like, I might as well learn how to spin on these things. And then,
nice. Yeah. So I wanted to like play shows. So I started working at Park City Live at doing marketing because that was like what I was going to school for.
And when was this?
This was in 2012, right when I turned 21. I was like, I actually got a job with the club before I was even allowed in there. And they're like, all right, well, next month when you're 21, you like come work for us,
Love it.
And that was Park City Live in Park City, Utah, just up here. They do a bunch of Sundance stuff. That was a fun gig for a few years. And I played a lot of shows there and kind of got my start like DJing a bunch there. And then from there, I kind of just like got deeper and deeper into the business side of music and got like more interested in that. I went from Park City Live. I actually left Park City Live because I didn't have a full-time job there and there wasn't an opportunity for it. And I didn't know if I was going to continue in the music industry. And I went and worked for a marketing agency for about a year in Salt Lake.
Okay. So you were hustling that kind of corporate grind?
Yeah, I didn't really know. Like I graduated from college. I was like, all right, time to like get a good job. Like a well-paying job, and like the venue they just wanted to keep me on part-time, and I was like, I don't know about this. So yeah, went and did the little corporate hustle thing for about a year. Learned a lot there, learned a lot about just PR marketing, like valuable stuff for sure.
Yeah.
But then during that time, I got a call about this new venue opening up in Salt Lake with someone I used to work with at Park City Live, who was like, do you want to come manage the marketing at this new venue? So super awesome opportunity, just kind of like fell into my lap.
And how old were you when that opportunity presented itself?
When the hell was that? That was in like 2015, I think. So
okay.
So I was like
24, 25.
I was like 24, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that new venue was Sky, which is still where I'm at.
Still cranking, yeah.
I've been there 5 years now. So yeah, started working there while I was at the agency as well, doing both, and then met the V2 guys because they started doing shows at Sky, got super tight with them, kind of presented myself to them and was like, yo, you guys don't have a PR person, like let me come in and do these things, pitched myself, and they're like, yeah, that sounds good. So quit the agency, went to work for V2 and Sky. It's like 2 almost full-time jobs.
So
doing those 2 things.
I find so many people, and even a lot of the people I work with that are on this beats, it's very much the same. It's they were able to go and say, hey, here's a hole in your system that I can fill. Here's the value I can bring.
That's like what you did too, right?
Well, I was a competitor in my market too, but but then they really needed someone to come in and sell sponsorship sales. And as soon as I identified that hole, and even for me, they didn't have a transportation system, and I built my business running transportation to their festivals early on with party buses. So, you hit the nail on the head there. It's finding a hole. Hey, here's the value I can provide. And there's a lot to be said in that, because I know you get it all the time. So do I. Is how do I get to work around music full time? And so many people are asking, what can I do, instead of saying, hey, here's a solution to a problem I think you have.
Right.
So
and on top of that, it wasn't just like, hey, give me a job. It was like, here's what I'm going to do for you, and I'll do it for free. I think I did free like PR work for V2 for about 6 months before.
I worked for free my first 2 years in music purely for the love.
Dude, it pays off. It's like, it's how you get like
those relationships, people to trust you and want to work with you.
Yeah, if you show your value.
Exactly. And everyone wants that handout right away, instead of, hey, I can give value without having an expectation of something in return, and just know that by doing the right thing, something good will come back to me.
Right. That's actually a huge thing that's kind of like stuck with me since then. Like I did that, I put in the work, and it's paid off like times a million so far. So I try to.
And if you don't have the expectation, you can't get let down.
Yes. I've tried to take that like method with everything I do, like offer value, provide value before like getting money, I guess, before
it is. And it always comes back tenfold with what you can do for someone else. And it's funny, because it's the hardest thing against human logic, because we're all naturally wired for self-preservation and to look out for self. But when you put ego aside and go to work for someone else, that's where good things happen. And clearly that happened in your circumstance there. Having the knowledge you have now and watching your climb into that, what's a piece of advice you'd go back and give to your 21-year-old self when you're up at Park City, just getting started, knowing what you know now? What's something you'd go back and tell yourself?
That's a good question. That is a good question. Honestly, like, even though I did the work for free, like put in the work, I would tell myself like, do more of that even, and be more comfortable with that than I was. Cause obviously there's like
paycheck.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you don't want to work for someone who's like, has no intention of ever paying you. You don't want to just give them free work, but like, there's a difference you can tell. Like if someone's asking you to work for free versus if you're just offering to work for free, you know what I'm saying?
It's a very big difference in being able to identify and draw that line.
So I'd probably like embrace that even more if I could go
see
back.
See what more, the potential more opportunity that could even come out of it then.
Right.
I love it. Well, when V2 is cranking, you guys do some of the biggest festivals in Utah, DOS Energy. I know you guys have done a lot of stuff on New Year's. What's kind of your day-to-day between Sky and V2 look like pre-COVID?
Pre-COVID, yeah. Key word there. Day-to-day, so for Sky, I write content, write social media posts, and schedule out like weeks, months worth of those advertising. That's kind of the more boring side of it. But then like when we were rolling, we had our Wednesday night, Thursday night, and Friday night at Sky. So I was advancing and like coordinating all of those shows,
working with all the artist teams and whatnot.
Working with the teams, and then also going to the shows and doing liaison stuff and making those connections. And then on top of that, just like DOS Energy really is the thing that we work on constantly all year round.
Yeah, it never
sleeps. As I'm sure, I don't know, what is your guy? Is like Gold Rush or Decadence your biggest one?
Decadent New Year's Eve is usually our biggest one, and but I got Gold Rush in September, so in Phoenix Lights in April, so there's 3, and they all blend together. I'm just constantly working on all 3 of them all the time.
I feel that. Yeah. So for us, it's like DOS is like the thing, and we work on that all year. But then DOS ends, and we have Get Freaky in a month. So it's like, oh shit, like don't forget about that. And then that ends, and we have New Year's, and then Get Lucky, and then all our weekly shows on top of that.
Yeah, so they just blend together. How many events would you say you guys did total in 2019?
We posted an image that had like exactly how many, but whatever. 2 a week times 52 weeks plus like another 50 on top
Easy.
of that.
I barely passed math in college, man.
I actually didn't. That was the one class I did not pass in college.
There you go. That's a tough one. Oh, luckily we don't have to use it too much in our world nowadays.
Right. But
No,
yeah,
that's awesome. And going into that, what's been your favorite like V2 moment for you, or just where you really got to like step back and say, wow, I worked for so many years to be able to get to do this full time, and you just had that moment where it's like, damn, it all came together, and I really appreciate this moment.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd have to say like pretty much every year at DOS, just at that peak hour at night, when at like midnight, 11 p.m., whatever that like festival hour is, just being upstairs in the bar looking out on the sea of people at DOS is just like, God damn, we worked so hard to do this, and here it is. And then last year we introduced our new stage, the Reactor, and that was a huge moment. And on another part, when you're driving a golf cart around like the exterior of a festival and just kind of like seeing it all in all its glory as you're
no one knows you're back there running behind the scenes with your hair on.
That's like a huge moment, you know. And also like I do PR, so I get all our blog support, and like a huge part of like realizing how, I guess, successful DOS Energy's become over the years is just seeing how much easier it became to like lock in PR for the festival. Like we'd announce it and I almost didn't even have to like send out press releases anymore. People just start picking it up on their own, which is an awesome feeling.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I love that. No, thanks for sharing that touch on V2. And obviously you guys have just done so many awesome things up there in Utah, and really been the staple of dance music in the market there for years. Shifting over in, oh yeah, except for, but 2021, our industry's coming back, man. We're going to be bigger and better than ever.
I'll be back.
Sure. Shifting over a little bit to COVID times. Obviously V2, no events, yada, yada, yada. You really dove in and started to focus on your label this year, and that's really something I've personally watched you just push, elevate, and grow. Talk to us a little bit on the label. When did it start? How's it kind of evolved for you over the years?
Right. So since COVID, that's, there's still some V2 stuff going on, but not much. Just working on like sponsorships for next year, and slow, not a ton. But yeah, I really shifted over to like putting like full-time energy into my label, which I've never really had quite as much time to do. And I've started building a nice like team of not only artists, but like just team members as well to help out with like A&R, merch, and other stuff. We got a lot of stuff planned for the rest of the year, even in the next few months. But going back, this is actually a pretty crazy story. I started my label when I was in high school in 2010.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know what I was doing at all. I wasn't even really into electronic music yet. It was like, I was like a post-hardcore kid. So I kind of had this dream of like starting like a Victory Records or Rise Records type label, if you know those two.
I'm familiar. We all had our time in high school.
Yeah, so I really didn't know what I was doing, but I loved the name. I've always loved the name, and I've loved the project. And then so I did a little stuff in high school, like nothing really significant, and then kind of let it like go away for a few years. And then in college, about 2014, I started it back up and started signing a lot of music for next few years. And then it kind of went dormant again. And then by that time I was like, all right, now I have like the actual knowledge to make this like pretty legit.
I know what to do.
So in this year, 2020, I rebranded completely, all new artists, new artwork, new visuals, new everything. And I've just been like pushing that.
Taking everything you've learned from all the times where it was on and off prior.
Right. Yeah. So like new website, new everything, and just been like really pushing the new vibe of it, the new look and sound.
Yeah.
Really
and we've been lucky enough to cover some stuff through Moon Landing, obviously.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Get you guys there, and I'll shout out to all the writers on our team. They're getting that going, so I know they've enjoyed it. It's been a pleasure to work with there as well.
No, they've been, and like shout out to their team. They were one of the coolest blogs to work with. Honestly, I really appreciate the responsiveness. Like even if it's a no, even if they turn something down, they take the time to like let you know that. And as a PR person, like I really appreciate that. So
it goes a long way. It's like, hey, we recognize it. Unfortunately, we got a lot coming in right now, and obviously we're still trying to grow the team over here and some writers and stuff. So if you're watching this, come run Moon Landing. We need writers. I absolutely love that story because you hit the nail on the head. You didn't know what you were doing. You knew you had a passion for it, and you just started it. And I think that's the problem so many people have in today's day and age is, oh, I don't know how to do this, or I don't have the finances, or I don't have the team or capability. It's amazing what you can learn just from starting.
Just do it, yeah.
Like you said, it even fizzled out, but then it'd pick back up. You'd probably stack on a few new skills. And then eventually, you know, all the pieces come together and go, okay, I know the roadmap and architect and blueprint now. And with the time you've had now, it's really cool to see you sink your teeth into it and really start to create and push. So props to you for finding that with your time this year.
Yeah, man, it's been awesome. I'm super grateful to be able to do it because it's really like grown so much too this year. And it's getting to a point, like, it's pretty crazy actually. Like, I'll have an artist release on like a major label and then release on our label, and we can have a song do just as well as like some of the biggest labels in the scene. And I'm like, it just makes you think like, are bigger labels like actually helpful to artists?
It's tough, man. And you come on the management side, like, you know, signing off some of these masters on the percentages and stuff. Sometimes it's tough. And
big,
you know,
master percentages, right?
It really is a balance, and, you know, finding the right labels to work with where, hey, they're not just taking that, but they're actually genuinely helping push the track, build the artist. Right. And that's really cool. So what are some of the things you're really working on to build the artist, you know, beyond just pushing a single track? You know, what are you doing to build them along with some longevity?
Right. So before I get into that, I want to say, like, this is kind of relevant right now because the whole Kanye thing yesterday.
You know, he's going crazy on Twitter.
Yeah, and I think like most labels do kind of take advantage of artists. I don't think labels should own more than the majority share of royalties and percentages. So I've always had my label until recently. It's been 50-50 because I invest a lot of money. They don't pay, like, they don't have to put up money or anything. So I invest a lot in promoting their music and themselves as an artist, even if it's not tied to the label. But then just in the past few months, I've been like, you know, like 50-50 is not even good enough. I need to give the artist the majority. So I've switched it to 60-40 now.
That's
artist
awesome.
Keeps 60%.
And that's coming from the true intention and heart of you as an artist too. So
yeah,
you know, it's kind of a by artist for artist, which I think is something that has got so lost in the label world. So that's so refreshing to hear.
Yeah, I like hearing that, actually, by artists. That's good. But
yeah, there you go. If you need a new slogan,
there's a slogan for it.
Yeah, put me in parentheses, give me a little credit under there, we'll call it good.
But yeah, that's like genuinely something I've tried to do is like build up these artists and even help them release other songs that aren't on Nova Lotus. But like if they're an artist that's releasing on Nova Lotus, like they get my help and my support for everything that they're working on. And it doesn't benefit me or the label, but
that goes back to that mindset you talked about when you were coming up is, hey, what can I do to give value? How can I become more valuable? Because, you know, whether we're gaining stuff in the short term, we're becoming more valuable. That's going to attract people back in the long term.
Right.
So again, it's just, you know, it's getting away from that instant gratification mindset that so many are wrapped in these days, and understanding that, hey, over the long period of time, if I consistently do the right thing, good things are going to come back and follow.
And that's really like running a label. A label isn't anything without the artists on it, and like the artists don't need to sign to your label. So like, what can you, especially now, like independent artists, you can self-release and like do as well as a big label, you know?
Yeah. If you know what you're doing, absolutely. I know Tidy's a great example of that. He pushes a lot of his own tracks, and we haven't done a ton of label deals, and he's still getting, you know, hundreds of thousands of streams.
Yeah. So like my thought this year has been like, what can I do to just provide as much value for these artists? So like my goal will be that they still sign some tracks with the label, even if they've moved on to like a bigger label, that maybe, you know, they'll still have the loyalty,
have that relationship.
Yeah. So to answer your initial question, like, what do we do to help the guys, help support the artists? Like, aside from just promoting their tracks that are released on the label, we also set up like pretty decent budget ad campaigns for the artist pages themselves to help grow their like Spotify followers and just social media followers in general. And again, that kind of, you know, that supports them without necessarily like helping the label, but indirectly helping the label, but mostly helping them.
You're building such a great foundation, and that's the key there, is everyone tries to go build that framework without having a strong foundation, then eventually it all collapses. So by focusing on the number one most important thing, which is to care, you're building that strong foundation truly for those artists and doing right by them. again, very, very refreshing to hear. Well, diving in a little further, like who are some of the acts and some of the music you guys are releasing? You're coming up. Like who are you excited about? Like who should the viewers here be paying attention to in the music world through the label and that you're working around?
So our biggest release of the year so far is from this artist called Farah,
Okay.
and it's called Resistance, and it's like super dark electro, like almost kind of techno. He actually just released a new song, not on the label, with an artist called Volek.
Yeah,
yesterday.
He's working with Rami and Henry over at Space Yacht.
Yes.
No, it's Vowdy. Sorry, Volek is another one. Yes, familiar though.
Yeah. So he had a track come out in July called Resistance. It's our best one of the year so far. People are really stoked about his sound. Like he's getting a lot of support from bigger artists, and he's just like got this really cool, like dark, gritty sound that hasn't been explored quite as much. It's almost like Swarm style, like darkness, but more of like an electro vibe to it.
Okay.
So I like, Farah is dope. He has another track coming out later this year on Nova Lotus. The last release was an artist called OK Kevin, who's from South Carolina, who's making some really cool stuff.
Okay.
Tomorrow, I guess by the time this comes out, it will have been out already, but on the, what is tomorrow, the 18th?
Yeah.
Tomorrow on the 18th, Perillian is a French house producer. He's got a 4-track, like progressive house EP, and that's going to be the first progressive house on the label this year.
Progressive house had its big time when you were first coming into the scene. That back in that 2012, 2013, that's all there was.
Yeah,
that was the golden age of EDM.
That was it was for real. Like when I was in my like DJ prime, I guess I was like all big room and all that kind of good stuff. I miss it. I love it. I know people talk shit on big room, but like I love it. I don't even care.
I love it too. And I came in later. Festival trap was what I got introduced to in like 2015, 2016 when I started getting into it and seeing Floss when they were still together and RL Grime and Mad Decent and all that, you know.
Good times. Good times.
I love it. So what, for artists that, would want to get involved with your label or anything, how are you discovering the artists you're looking for, and what's a piece of advice you'd give to an artist that would want to find a home at a label like yours?
I always have the label has always been focused, like this has been since the beginning. One of my like fundamental beliefs with it is that I try to find artists who are like truly doing their own thing. Like I know that kind of sounds cliche these days. Like everyone's like, do your own thing, whatever.
You see all these guys pulling nothing but sample packs, and my non-existent ass in production could go technically pull all those same things and create the same song. Totally. So finding someone who's creating something truly unique and sound designing something.
Right. So yeah, I try to find, like there's so many good artists there who have so many good tracks, but like just never get signed anywhere because their tracks are a little like off the wall or different or like just not generic enough. And I'm all about like signing those tracks. Like I want those tracks that are too weird for bigger labels. Yeah. So the vibe of the label is mostly like lots of mid-tempo, lots of like dark vibes, but also lots of like melodic and just like futuristic.
Yeah, I've seen the other side of that for sure.
Yeah. So no genre limitations really, as long as it kind of just fits this like aesthetic for Nova Lotus that I feel we've done a pretty good job establishing.
Yeah, and even just with the artwork and what you guys are marketing and sharing it, you can see the contrast and exactly what you talked about there. Even all the way down to the color schemes and everything. The whole project is a work of art.
Right. Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is just making it like art too. I love like beautiful like scenic art. And shout out to Adam Jackson, our visual guy, for making all that amazing art.
I was gonna say, absolutely killing all the covers and everything you guys are putting out. The visual aesthetic is next level. Go check out. We'll plug some links into this.
He's super talented. His Instagram's like at AWJ Visuals or something.
We'll plug him in the bottom of this too.
He's super talented. I'm super grateful to have him on the team. Some advice for people trying to get like, if they're interested in Nova Lotus, is, like I said, just like really interested in like unique music that's different. Like I've had some submissions that are like really solid tracks, but they're just kind of like dubstep, like really well produced, like just a dubstep song or like even mid-tempo songs that aren't different. And I'll like, it's good music and I'll tell them that, but like, I'm not interested in signing music that just kind of sounds like anything else that's been out, you know?
Yeah, where can I push the envelope? Where are we going to expand the sound? Where are we
Right.
going to expand the genres?
Right. There's enough other, like, I just feel there's enough other places to get that. Like, nothing against that. It's great. You can go listen to it, but there's enough places to
Hey,
find
when you're
it.
the creative director and you have the vision, that's the lucky part about running it. You get to decide.
Yeah. And it's fun to pick and choose. It's like,
Yeah.
it's almost like running a label is kind of like DJing in a way. You're like curating a vibe in the
Yeah,
same way.
you're picking what's the next track that the crowd's going to dig and things
Exactly.
like that. It's a good way to look at it. And again, by artists for artists. So I love it.
And now I've got someone else. I've got Mike SV, who runs, I don't know if you big in like Discord community much, but
I'm getting there.
Mike SV runs Death Pack's Discord server, which is like pretty big. It's called Deathcord.
Yeah.
And he's been helping me like with the A&R stuff lately. So he's been scouting and finding some artists to bring on.
That's good. I know Sacha over at Monster Cat kills it in the Discord community and just obviously one of the best A&Rs in the game.
Yeah, that guy, he's very talented with the curation and everything for sure.
Oh yeah, they're a great label.
I love Monster Cat. Actually, Nova Lotus is like largely kind of modeled after Monster Cat. Like I really love the way they do.
Good.
Yeah, I really love the way they do. They don't focus on one genre. They kind of focus on the artist and the vibe, and that's like the same kind of thing I'm trying to build with Nova Lotus.
That's awesome. Yeah, and those are great people to model after. I absolutely love following everything they put out, just the mindset that comes from that.
Yeah,
group.
for sure.
Well, transferring off the label a bit, you're a manager, as am I. So let's talk a little further on management. Who are you working with? How did the management side of your aspect and all that aspect come to be?
So I manage, and this is like separate from the label too. These guys have released on the label, but it's pretty much separate. Schuster and Trilogy are my two guys.
Yeah.
I also
had Trilogy on Orbit earlier this year, a virtual festival.
Hopefully, I'm hoping you guys do another one of those. That was a good time.
We might have to look into it. Actually, I'll do that right here.
So they're both from Salt Lake. I've known them for a while. I used to curate my own night at Sky. Just like this was like pre Nova Lotus rebrand back when it was a little different.
Okay.
We would do like a Friday night every like once a month, and I've always always gravitated towards the artists who are doing something different, doing something unique. So I like always was just super huge fan of Schuster and Trilogy's music and was booking them to come play these nights with me and stuff. And then I just felt like they both had what it takes to like get to the next level, but didn't have anyone representing them or didn't know.
To give that little extra push and direction.
Right. What to do. So I approached them about it, and they were both like super interested in it. We talked about all that. And then before we even like signed a contract or made a deal, we actually worked together. I worked with each of them for like 2 years before even making it official, just because
I do the exact same thing with all of my artists. I think anyone aspiring to be a manager, you have to become friends with the person.
Yeah. Like I didn't want to be like, you're going to sign this contract. And like, I wanted it to be completely like, I want to work with you. You want to work with me. No contractual obligations whatsoever. So,
and that I'm echoing that as a manager myself. That's the best way to do it. Yeah. You end up building a friendship, and at the end of the day, trying to build an artist is the hardest damn thing there probably is in our industry, especially like from that local stage all the way up. So, when shit gets hard, you gotta be able to have that level of, hey, I'm your friend.
Yeah, you gotta be homies for sure, especially to like I've always been super like compassionate about just like as an artist myself, I get the struggle like of self-doubt and just like the anxiety that comes with creating. So like I never apply any pressure to my guys to like deadlines unless it's something important, but not like where's the music? Like if they need to take a few months off for their mental health, like go for it. That's
gotta do it. Stuff. Yeah. No, it's better than pushing through. You're not going to get the same quality of product if you're fighting through things you don't need to be fighting through. So,
right.
And that's the one thing I've learned as a manager too. You really are there as a mental health coach in a lot of ways too, and really be
a life coach.
Yeah, you got to be there for someone, even on a personal level, outside of an artist. Sometimes it's so easy to get caught up in their alias and forget who they are as a person.
Right.
And I see a lot of managers make that mistake too. So. Anything we can expect to see out of either of those projects music-wise coming up, or anything you're able to share there?
Schuster is actually releasing an EP for the first EP of the year on October 2nd.
Okay.
So that's going to be awesome. He's been working on it for like a really long time. It's really good. We tried to send it. He just had a release with Dim Mak earlier this year, and hopefully we'll do some more work with those guys.
They're great.
We're also in talks with some other bigger labels about doing some stuff, but unfortunately all the bigger guys turned down this EP because it is like a lot of Schuster's music. It's pretty like different and out there, but really good still.
That's the thing, is sometimes you got to go create that lane instead of waiting for someone to accept it.
Right. And I feel like as an artist, like you shouldn't just strive to be on like that big label and then just stick with them forever. You got to like diversify it, and you got to also self-release. I think using bigger labels to like supplement your self-releases is going to be huge, because ultimately if you can get to a point where you're just self-releasing and getting the streams from that's
the ideal part.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's a hard game to get to. That's for darn sure.
Yeah.
And what about Trilogy? Anything in the works over there?
Trilogy's been working. He's been working on a lot of stuff. He had a release with Ophelia, Seven Lions label, earlier this year. Hopefully we will.
I mean, that was right after Orbit.
It will, yeah. And that was
Jeff was on his Instagram story shouting him out. He was getting tons of love.
That's what's awesome about Trilogy right now. We're in a super good place. Like Seven Lions is a huge fan of everything he's been making. So hopefully we're gonna follow that up with like an EP with Ophelia or something.
And having those bigger artists come jump on the project and just support, show love, like there's nothing more I enjoy than watching a big artist who's already made it, done their thing, take the next guy and say, you know what, I dig this, and put those guys on. That's the one thing that makes me happy about our industry, is seeing guys do that. And, there's some artists I wish I would see more of it out of even, but It was really cool to see for Trilogy.
Yeah, and for me, like personally, Seven Lions has been my favorite artist since I got into since he started being an artist. He's been my favorite electronic artist, like hands down. So having that connection with Trilogy is like my dream come true.
Yeah, it's kind of a crossover there. That's super cool.
It's great. Yeah, and it's really, as like a smaller manager, I'm not any big shot manager or anything, but like that validation of just having Ophelia like truly interested in his music, and Seven Lions like really supporting it is really like validating, and like, all right, we're
or it's validating your ear. Like, I thought this was good. Okay, Seven Lions thinks it's good too. I think we're onto something.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I want to shift over. I know we've talked about it a little bit. I like to talk just a little bit on my three. I call them my 3 M's, which is mindset, mentorship, and mental health. We talked a little bit there. What are some things you've done just for, I think it's important for people in the music world. What are some things you've done for your mental health this year, just to stay in a good place, to be able to continually to work on your projects amidst the craziness that is happening in our world right now?
Biking.
Like
we were talking about.
And we talked about that off camera a little bit.
Yeah, I'm huge into like outdoors. I grew up in southern Utah, around like Red Rocks, hiking.
You're like 30-mile rides some of these days and stuff, right?
Yeah, dude. So yeah, biking. Biking's been huge for me this year. It's been like the main thing I've been doing, and just hiking, camping, outdoors is like my mental health thing.
Yeah, you can go
my therapy. And yoga. Yoga's great.
Okay, that's cool. Yoga is something I definitely need to get a little bit back into.
Yeah, dude, just yoga with Adrienne on YouTube. She's this amazing instructor who just has like hundreds of videos. Good, like some of them are like an hour long, some of them are like 20 minutes long, some of them are 10 minutes long. So like yoga for any part of your day, like you wake up and just do a quick like
or you hit a hurdle in the studio and you need to just clear the mind, go hop into 10 minutes. I like that. I'll have to look into that.
And then also something I've always preached that I think is super important. Like I hustle pretty damn hard and all the time, but I think it's equally as important to chill and like watch movies and play video games and like do whatever you love to do, So I play video games like quite a bit, and it's just all about like balance, like work and fun.
I love it. Next one we'll jump into is mentorship. Who are some mentors you've had and that have really just helped make things click for you or helped guide your steps, and what's the role they've played in you ultimately getting to do what you love every day?
For sure, Jeremy and Brandon. Jeremy, I almost said their last name back. Jeremy Moreland and Brandon Fulmer, co-owners of B2, have been huge mentors for me. Just about how like they've taught me pretty much everything I know about how this industry runs, and just like all of it. So like, you know, I'd give like 95% of like mentorship credit to those two, because I've learned so much. Also Mitch Henderson from V2, who does marketing and other stuff. He's been a huge help to me. Another manager that I've always kind of like connected with well is Griffin Hadrill, who manages ATLians, X and G, Minesweep.
Done some great stuff. ATL, they're really on a big upswing over the last year.
Yeah. So he's been someone I've always kind of like, he hasn't like mentored me per se, but like I've just always like looked up to him and really admired the way he does things. And
you pay attention to their moves, their character, and sometimes that can be the influence and a little bit of mentorship you need sometimes.
Right. And then in that regard, another set of people I've always kind of admired is everyone at Warpath agency. I love like, shout out Brian and Alex. They're like two of the best agents. They're genuinely like nice guys and just good guys. And I've always admired the way they do business and stuff. But yeah, as far as like mentors go, Jeremy and Brandon, I got to give them so much credit. Like,
and how important would you say mentorship is to anyone wanting to get into the music world?
I think it's, and this is something you preach a lot, obviously, with Connect and stuff, but I think the mentorship can save you years of something that it would take you to learn. Like a mentor can just help you like bypass all those hurdles that you would have to kind of do on yourself. And I could have benefited from a ton more mentorship over the last 10 years. Like I'm sure everyone could have, but like I've really paved a lot of the things I've done completely alone.
Trial and error.
Yeah. And that's one of my biggest like weaknesses, I would say, is I try to do everything alone, like a lot. But Jeremy and Brandon have really like just going to work for V2. I learned more in like a month than I would have learned in like years on my own, you know?
What's the favorite quote? Smart man learns from his own mistakes. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
And that's where you really truly save that time. But you nailed it. And like getting to go into an organization like V2, Relentless Beats, and putting on those massive events, like teamwork, like there's no other option other than working as a team. Like like those things do not get done on the back of one person.
Right. Yeah. So if I could go back even to my Park City Live days, like mentorship could have just sped along my process like so much more.
Yeah, no, I think that's more important than ever. Is I just encourage kids. I'm like, you have the internet in your hand, the playing field's level. You got DMs, you got emails. Like you might get 100 no's and you might get one yes on someone having a conversation that could change the entire course of your career.
Right. I think with mentorship too, it's important to, this goes back to my Nova Lotus, like people doing their own thing too. Like with mentorship, I think you learn a lot, but you don't want to just copy paste like what you learn. You want to adapt it to your own thing.
Yeah, you kind of find your own style. I think, you know, everything I've learned from my mentors, I've kind of became a sponge and learned, and then it's adapted into my own style of how I operate my projects, my business, and carry myself. So there's a lot of traits from there, but then a lot of it's the trial and error I learned on my own too. Right. So it's a mixture for sure.
For sure.
Cool. I love ending on this topic. It's just mindset. What are some books you're reading? What are some books that have really helped you? What are some things people can dive into if they want to enhance themselves, in your opinion?
Gary Vee.
Gary Vee, I love it.
So honestly, I'm gonna be honest about Gary Vee. Like sometimes he annoys me. Sometimes he's a bit too much. But reading his book was really like
crushing it.
This sounds kind of rude, but his voice and his like energy is just a bit much for me sometimes. So reading his book without his voice was incredible. Crushing it. Came out a couple years ago. You've read it, I'm sure.
I've read it.
I'm reading one right now called.
He was yelling at me the whole time.
Yeah, I don't think I could handle that. It's intense.
For me,
appreciate the passion, but like sometimes it's a bit much.
A little much.
So right now I'm reading this book called. What is it called? It's called like What Our Mind Reveals About Our Power to Change Others, and it's just about like your rhetoric and how you like how what you say and how you say things kind of builds this perception of you to others.
Tone, the way it's delivered, your body language when you say it, the context of the words. Yeah. So I'm a psychology major, so you're speaking my language there.
Oh yeah, you are. Sure.
Yeah.
So that I read this book about a year ago called Hitmakers: The Science of Popularity. And then I read one called The Content Trap that was about like community. and it was about both of those kind of touch on like the importance of building community versus just blasting out like product or content.
Yeah.
And how important
Here's my
it is
link,
to like,
buy my stuff.
yeah, how important it is to like put out the content, but also like build a tightly knit community around it.
Mm-hmm.
And something I've been thinking about a lot lately that I think is going to just become more and more important is artists harnessing like their super fans, and kind of, instead of trying to build this huge audience of like millions, really building like super fans out of like a smaller
10
audience.
people who really care over 100 who kind of just check in.
Exactly. Because
That's
like,
why I love these Discord communities that the artists are doing, the text programs,
right.
the Facebook groups. I'm actually seeing a lot of.
Discord's huge for that.
I think Discord's going to be a big one in the future, and there's actually I'm seeing people offer services where they'll moderate your community for you, just to help keep them engaged and keep those super fans going. But
yeah, and I've been seeing more artists like use Patreon and stuff, and I think that's really cool. You know, if you can, especially right now without touring, like if you can get a community of 1,000 people paying you like $5 a month, $10 a month, that's enough to supplement. Like you can live off that, you know.
Yeah, I haven't sent my artists to OnlyFans yet. I'm holding them off there. If shows don't come back in the next 8 months, I might have to have a serious talk with the guys. Hey, we're gonna.
I think OnlyFans is going to continue to blow up and be more than just like nudes and stuff. I think more and more people are going to use it like Patreon and put their.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a creative platform, and I still think the next platform hasn't even emerged yet that might come and actually benefit the creators more. I'm sure someone might take the idea and really hone it down for the music industry. So. I'm really excited to see what technology comes out from all the problems our industry is currently facing. If touring goes away, how do we make money? So someone's going to have to solve a problem for this. God forbid it ever happens again.
Yeah, hopefully not. Either way, though, I think live streams are here to stay more than they were. Like, I think once we're back to touring, I think it's going to become a new pillar that artists need to focus on, is really having like a cool like Twitch show or like Twitch series, whatever it is, whether it's
that's the one thing I am probably most curious to see. I'm curious to see how much that's going to stay around, how active people will be on it when shows do return. I expect more shows to start live streaming the shows too, though.
Yeah, that too. Like, I hope more. I think that's something I want to kind of push to V2, is setting up like a stream online for people who don't.
Yeah, we're looking into the same stuff at RB for the future as well. But it's been cool, and it's our community making the most of we're making lemonade with what the world's throwing at us, which is cool to see. Well, cool. Thanks for touching a little bit on mindset. Really enjoyed having you today. One last note you want to share with the viewers here, or anything you want to share coming out?
Let's see. I'm working on a marketing agency of my own, actually. That's something I'm gonna be launching relatively soon here, just like offering pretty much anything artists would need, like ads, press releases, like PR, marketing, just anything
you need to get your shit heard out there, you artists. Right. This guy will help you do it.
Right. This is random, but something I've been running into a lot lately, and I'm kind of curious your thoughts on this, but artists don't think they need like a Facebook page anymore, which like you need one.
What do you for the running ads, obviously.
Yeah,
it's a dying platform, and Facebook has now made it so you cannot grow unless you pay them money on Instagram or Facebook, and that's the reality, which is also killing the platform of Instagram. We're seeing spikes in TikTok and other areas because of it, but it's still a necessary evil, much like SoundCloud is still a necessary evil in my opinion.
Well, it's like you don't have to like you're not going to get good organic engagement on Facebook. Everyone knows that.
You make one more fan by having a Facebook page. It's one more fan you didn't have before. And again, it's that mindset of, I'm my artist. If I can get them one new fan today, shout, that's good stuff, and it's the compound effect over the daily strives, not the big grand thing you look at.
Right. Well, and just the importance of like Facebook and Instagram ads.
They're huge.
It's done so much for growing my label this year, and like growing our playlists and stuff is just like running ads, and you have to have a Facebook page to
targeting.
do that.
I mean, the tools are out there, and it's a matter of either I don't know how to run them, so I find people like yourself to run them for my artist. But it is absolutely very important, and you need to be omnipresent in any project, any business. You should be as omnipresent as possible so you can pull in as much to your project and as many eyeballs as possible.
Right. And then I guess something else that I've just been kind of drilling with like label and artists lately is like it just investing money in yourself, like truly
Betting on
investing.
yourself.
Yeah. Like I know people, we don't all have like a lot of money, but people get into being an artist and like don't really plan on like spending money on it. And like you should spend as much money as you can on it, honestly.
You are your own lottery ticket if you're an artist, and you need to go to the table and bet on yourself. You know,
Right.
If you can afford a new PS5 or the iPhone or whatever, but you can't go drop that money into your project, you already lost.
Right. Well, and then like I'll see people who are paying for playlist placements, but you could be putting that money into growing your own playlist. And, you know, it's like one might get you faster results, but one will get you better long-term results.
It's instant gratification over the long-term play. I think that was absolutely the theme of this conversation today. And something you have exhibited really well in your career is having that mindset of the long-term play and not settling for that instant gratification, even when it might have been easier for you to do so.
Right. Yes.
Ian Hiscock, V2, Nova Lotus, Management with Schuster, Trilogy, Marketing, Mindset. Ian, it's been a pleasure chatting with you today. I'm really excited for our viewers to get to look into your mind a little bit and all the things you've accomplished during your time in the music world.
Yeah, man. Thank you. It was a lot of fun to just chat about stuff. You know, there's not
Always
as many
is.
opportunities to chat with people about all this stuff. So it's been, it's good to
Cool.
talk
Well, all your socials are down in the bio. If you're following this, go give Ian a follow. Check out all the projects he's working on. Get connected with him. Reach out. He's a nice guy. He won't bite. But other than that, thank you all so much for tuning into the Launchpad. It's been another great episode here. We got more of these coming your way each week. We got more artists on the way, more creative directors, more festival promoters, you name it. So thanks for tuning in to the Launchpad, everyone. We'll see you again soon.